everybody. Welcome to the Pomegranate Presents the Deck of the Week. My name is Skwirl, and I'll be your host this week. And I am super, super excited to be here with Mr. Lon Milo Duquette, creator of the creator of the Tarot of Ceremonial Magick. Welcome, and thank you.
Very much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to plug my beloved deck.
Oh, it is a beautiful deck. I'd like to point out that there is much, much, much more going on with Lon Milo. He is a lot of things. And if I mentioned them all here, we'd be here for a full hour. But I'll mention a few: musician, magician, a talented writer. I know you say that was a mistake, but it looks so effortless.
It takes a long time to be spontaneous. Yeah.
Effortless. So one thing I would love to know, and I'll let you know right now too, I'll be doing a flip through of the deck later on this week to go as a companion with this interview, so everybody will be able to see each individual card and just how beautiful they are. One thing I would love to know is what inspired you to make this particular deck?
My Monday night magic class. In about 1979, I think we started to have a weekly class in the house, Constance and I, as part of our perceived duties as lodge masters of an OTO lodge, Ordo Templi Orientis Lodge, here in Costa Mesa. And so I figured, well, we should have a weekly class, whether anyone shows up to it or not, and have it open to the public and open to lodge members, of course, if they want. And we'll just call it a magic class, and things that I don't know anything about, we'll still teach it. But we'll learn it together. Like, you know, if whatever it is I don't know, I'll learn it with you, you know, kind of thing.
Wow.
And so back then, there's a few basic things that magic Western magicians learn at first, at least the ones that follow the traditions that are Kabbalah based or the Golden Dawn based. You know, you learn the pentagram rituals, and you learn your hexagram rituals. Then you learn your invoking pentagram rituals. Then you're invoking hexagram rituals. Then you talk about when you use your pentagram rituals, and when after a while we're running out of stuff to talk about. And so I was going through my Llewellyn edition of Gems from the Equinox, and I ran across Crowley's Nokian material from his Equinox days, the Nokian magic material. And I figured, well, we could do a couple weeks on that. You know, and so I tried everything just to stay one jump ahead of the class, and that's what we did. And the first couple times, once we got through the theoretical part of Nokian magic, we said, well, let's actually do some Nokian magic at class, and we'll do a group. We'll call one of these angels up and have a visionary experience. And it blew our minds.
Oh.
Make a long story short, it blew our minds. It blew our minds so much that for the next 3 years, we did it 2 nights a week. And we just specialized in Enochian vision magic. And so you can imagine we gathered up we generated a lot of magical material of our own on that. And it was, well, eventually I wrote, where is it? It's around here someplace. With Chris Hyatt, I wrote Aleister Crowley's Nokian World of Aleister Crowley. That was my first book, actually, back in 1991. And other Enochian material. And so just to cleanse the palate after a few years of Enochian stuff, I said, well, let's see where the Kabbalah overlaps Enochian magic. And so basic Kabbalah, at least the way the Western Hermetic tradition treats it, is easier to describe and to explain because of its relationship to the tarot. Okay. So I just wanted to do a class on the 36 decans of the zodiac, the periods of 10 degrees, which are associated with the 36 small cards, the 2s through 10s of each suit. So each of those 2 through 10 of each suit represents 10 degrees of the zodiac. Okay, that's all I wanted to illustrate. I didn't want to make a tarot deck. I'm the laziest person in the world. There's the last thing on my mind would be to create any work for myself. And so I got just these, what is it, 4x6 or 3x4 index cards. And I started off just by putting the degrees of the zodiac, you know, one card way up in the top, I put like, well, and I was just ballparked it. I went 0 degrees, 10 degrees Aries, and then 10 degrees to 20 degrees Aries, and then 20 to 30 degrees Aries, you know. And so I have those 36 cards out like that, and we could spread them out on the floor in class, and here's the whole zodiacal year here. Everybody says, oh, I get it. And so for the next week, I said, hey, you know, there are 72 angels of the Shemhamferish, which is a Kabbalistic, classic, traditional Kabbalistic angels that represent 5-degree periods of the zodiac, 72 of them. So each one of those cards also has 2 traditional Kabbalistic angels that go with it, okay, that represent the first 5 degrees of that period and the second 5 degrees. So I said, I think I'll just write those angel names down, because that means you'd know almost for any day of the year what angel rules that day of the year. And they have little attributes that go with them. Some of them are kind of healing, and some of them are strong, and some of them are judicious, and some of them are just assholes, you know. And but they all have a little personality and everything else, and they do represent segments of our own consciousness, and which is what kind of magic is about, learning how to press exactly the right specific keys of our consciousness to activate them. And you can call those angels, or you can call them spirits, or you can call them daimonos or afrits, or whatever you want to call them. But that's what they are. They're aspects of consciousness, segments of human consciousness. But anyway, so we laid out those angels, and we tried to pronounce their names and everything else. And then I had a class that showed how each of those angels' names were created. Okay,
Oh,
from
okay.
3 lines of Exodus. Okay, uh, that's how the Kabbalists looked at their names of these angels. They said, if you chop God's name up into 72 sections, if you look at Yod He Vav He under a microscope, the first thing you see when you turn up the power is it's broken up into 72 segments. And those are the 72 angels of the Shemhamferish.
So they're all pieces of God.
Yes. As a matter of fact, you'll be hard pressed not to find anything in the universe that's not a piece of God.
Oh.
Okay. But the Kabbalists have it all anal retentively organized.
They're Virgos.
They are. They certainly are. So then I thought, then and only then, well, no, wait a second. One other thing. Each of those 72 cards, or yeah, they're cards, also have 2 Goetic spirits from Solomonic magic. And okay, those are classic Solomonic magic things. Okay. There's 72 angels like that. Now, some people call them demons because they're kind of a rough crew.
Well,
but they do the heavy lifting in the universe.
can I interrupt you for just a second and ask you a quick question? I'm so sorry. But as far as angels and demons, especially in the Christian religion, and I was raised a Christian, aren't a lot of the so-called demons gods or benevolent beings from other religions?
Yeah, benevolent or malevolent really don't make a lot of sense on the spiritual levels. You can have a very, very high angel that's extremely dangerous to you. Okay, and you can find a very, very low, sort of roughneck, fragmented piece of spiritual consciousness that's very helpful to you. As a matter of fact, the roughneck crew does the heavy lifting in the universe. The only thing that makes them dangerous is if they're not directed and controlled by a higher intelligence, which should be the magician.
Right.
As far as good and evil, where spiritual entities are concerned, we can't really ascribe moral character to a spiritual being. If there's good or evil involved, it's the magician and not the spirits. Okay.
That makes sense. Thank you. Thank you.
You bet. So there's 2 Goetic spirits, classic Goetic, and that's the type of spirit that you conjure into a triangle. The magician stands in a circle and you whip up one of these spirits to go do some heavy lifting for you. So there's 2 of those on every one of those cards too.
Oh.
And so let me get a couple of them out here. Here's one. So each of the cards has let's see if I can see, has a date. See the date spread?
Yes.
Okay. And it has a planet assigned to it and its zodiac sign. The zodiac sign is the 10 degrees of the sign that it's in. And that has its Enochian equivalent. There's the Enochian square. Then it's got its regular tarotness thing there. It's this is the sorrow card. Okay. And it's got a nice pair of demons there. Happy demons. And then there's the angels of the Shemhamverish there. Okay. So I had all that information written on these note cards for Monday night class. And it finally dawned on me, these are tarot cards too. Why don't I just assign them the tarot card name? And only then did I say, well, okay, I'll put the images on, and I won't drift too far away from the classic classic tarot images that go with it, because that's what tarot people have been used to, and that sort of is the key word for its divinatory meaning. So I was stuck then with the small cards of the tarot, and I did a funky sort of draft of the images, and everybody's really excited. And I bought blank note cards for everybody at class, and they made their own, and it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I didn't think of it as being anything but a lot of fun. And then I said, well, as long as I went that far, let me do the aces and the court cards, because the court cards have fun stuff in it. Like, the Knight of Wands would be like the fire of fire. And there's even a Yi Ching hexagram that goes for fire of fire. So, gee, I hate court cards in readings. What are you going to say? Does your question have something to do with a black horse?
It's a man. It's a man. Young man, right?
A swarthy guy with a red beard? Yeah, I don't know. But there's all that Nokian stuff that goes with it. It's a sub-angle of the Nokian card. Not only that, if you really want to know personally what this card means to you, then you can astrally project into its Hindu tattva symbol, and then you don't have to worry about what Lon said in the book or anything else. You can go to that dimension yourself and figure what the hell it's about and what it means to you right now in this particular part of your life. And then again, don't depart too far from the traditional images.
And I'd like to point out that the companion book is incredible. Because I looked at the cards, I'm used to regular tarot cards, and I looked at the cards and I went, ooh. And I didn't understand what they were. My husband got them. He's the magician in the family. But when I looked through the book and I saw with the astral projection and how you broke everything down to what it meant, it really helped me look at those cards and really understand them. I highly recommend getting the companion book with the cards, especially if you're like me and new to all of this. So it's amazing companion book. Thank you.
Yeah, there it is right there. It's called the Tarot of Ceremonial Magick. And, I tried to write the book sort of like Monday night class. I try to make everything as step by step and as painless and as goofy and as non-threatening as possible. But the idea with Kabbalistic correspondences, so no matter what tarot deck you're working with, if it's organized into 22 trumps, 4 aces, 16 court cards, and 36 small cards, then it is a Kabbalistic magical tool, whether or not it's the Tarot of Ceremonial Magick or the Halloween deck or the Frozen deck or it doesn't matter. If it's a classic deck, like the BOTA or the Rider, the Waite deck, the Waite Smith deck, uh, even the colors are Kabbalistically chosen correctly. Now, I've gone to comical, absurd links to only use the Kabbalistic colors that are associated with the scale of that particular card. And my theory was, if you're as lazy as me and you don't want to read and memorize a whole bunch of stuff and clutter your mind with your left hemisphere trying to override your intuitive wonderness, just working with the cards and the colors themselves, the Kabbalistic magic seeps through into your soul through the cones and rods of your eyes even. So even if you didn't want or were interested in all of the goodies and stuff on the back of the cards, you'd still be getting the magical punch out of the cards. So
They are absolutely gorgeous in the colors. Your wife did the painting, right? You did the illustrations, the
yeah,
drawing.
I did the line drawings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they ended up looking. I got them around here someplace. My cards looks something like. As a matter of fact, this is the form and this is the size.
Wow, that's
Okay,
still beautiful.
so I did them like that. And then I said, I'm going to drive from California to Florida
Oof.
to Miami and go to the book convention, and I'm going to try to sell these cards to US game systems. So that's what it looked like there. And I gave Constance a coloring chart to show which colors could go with which card, and then they came out like that.
Oh, wow.
So
And I've found that the colors of them really, like you said, how they seep into your eyes. As this has only happened to me twice. There's one of the Golden Dawn decks that did it, and your deck, and just going through them once, looking at them for 2 weeks, I had these cards in my dreams, like as backdrops to my dreams. They were just so powerful that I saw them in my sleep even. That's a powerful deck. That the powerful imagery and just the they're beautifully done. I like everything about them. Now, I'll be honest with you, there are some parts of them that I don't understand because I'm still learning, and I'm learning through your books and from your live videos. But
oh, good.
the way that you explain things, like, good example, I my husband brought home Dion Fortune's Kabbalistic Tarot, and I picked up that book. Ooh, I get to learn more deeply. And I said, after about 10 minutes, I said, huh. I don't understand this. I do not understand this. And so Paul got me the Chicken Kabbalah that you wrote. And I still don't understand it. I think it's going to take years for me to really understand it, but I can read that book from cover to cover and I can take notes. And each time I read it, I get a little more out of it. It doesn't terrify me to where I want to run screaming in a corner because it's still too big for me to fit in my head. And it will take me years, I think, to understand it. But you have one of the magics that you possess is to be able to put things into necessarily layman terms, but to the simpler terms so that anybody can understand them. I think that is powerful magic in and of itself. So,
Well, I try to write the book that I wished I would have read 40 years ago. Okay. I try to write the book that would have cut about 20 years off my learning curve.
you did.
So, yeah, so that's, you might, if you haven't already, you might want to look into my book, The Son of Chicken Kabbalah.
Got it.
Okay. I would suggest, or at least suggest that you consider putting yourself through those 3 rituals of self-initiation into the Hebrew letters, because that's a very right hemisphere, experiential, not having to bog yourself down with a great deal of technical ruach information, and allow your subjective soul to absorb things. And that works with it sort of helps painlessly implant the Hebrew alphabet in your system. It gives you a wonderful Kabbalistic tune-up.
Okay.
And it is truly like a 3-step initiation. And it's intended to, without you even knowing or bothering yourself with thinking that you're learning anything, when you're through with the process, things that you thought were difficult to learn all of a sudden make sense. make sense to you as you review them again. So it's a process that I did, and I didn't set out to do this. People think I'm joking when I say I have no ambition. I'm the laziest person in the world. I do all of this to avoid working. But I went to China. I went to China a couple times, but the first time I went to Beijing, and I lectured on magic. And when they took me to the airport after that first Beijing series of lectures, they gave me a little Apple MacBook Air, because they said my little Acer computer was too funky. They said, holy men don't use Acers. And they just gave me this beautiful new computer. And then they said, we want you to come back every 90 days on the equinoxes and solstices and teach Kabbalah.
Wow.
And to tell you the truth, that was the last thing I wanted to do or to think about doing or anything else. They were working on translating the Chicken Kabbalah. And all of the students in China had the English Chicken Kabbalah anyway. But I said, okay, I'll do it like a 3-degree initiation thing. And I figured I've got 90 days to come up with creating these initiation rituals. I can do it. And then the fourth trip in that series would be a lecture where we use all this stuff. Okay, but the 3 of them were initiations there. And My translator served as the other initiatory officer. And we did it. And when I came back home after a year of going back and forth to Beijing, before I forgot it all, I sort of pooled all the material into the book that became the Son of Chicken Kabbalah. And so that's what you've got in your possession right now. So, but Chicken Kabbalah even has a section on tarot. The Chicken Tarot, I think, is the name. And so that might be helpful too.
Oh yes, that's one of my favorite books because it just and you acknowledge that it's okay for me to take time to learn it even. It's like you,
Oh, yeah.
it's like you're like, no, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to to be able to comprehend it all, that it's okay for me to take my time learning from it. So
Absolutely. Please remember, you've got all the time in the world.
that helps. That helps. So and
You have all the time in the world. Just take life at your own pace.
oh, I'm breakneck speed right now, but I need to take your advice. So we've got the the minor cards, the twos through the tens, and then you went to aces, and then you went to the court cards. And court cards are a problem. I think they're even harder for most people than the majors. How did you decide to do the majors?
Well, I didn't want to stray too far away from the traditional images, but I wanted to include magical things. So there is, well, let's here, this might be a better image here. Like there's the Justice card.
Yes.
Okay.
I love
And
her.
my wife and I are both ballet fans. And so we've got two of the cards that are ballet cards. Okay. Now, the reason that I chose both the Fool and the Judgment card or the Justice card, of course, justice means balance. Okay.
Right.
Okay. And it's Libra.
That beauty, right.
Okay. And so that's sort of the gimmick there. But the Hebrew letter is Lamed, or an L. Okay. And the other card is the Fool, and the Fool's Hebrew letter is Aleph, or A. Now, A and L in Hebrew spell God.
Ah.
Like Elohim, okay? A and L spell God. And in the tarot, the Fool's girlfriend is the goddess Justice.
Oh.
They go together. Goddess Justice has a boyfriend because she's right in the middle of the sequence, okay?
Mm-hmm.
She's at the fulcrum, at the perfect balance, the immovable fulcrum of the perfect balance of the sequence of the Hebrew letters, and the Fool is 0, completely out of the sequence. So they go together. A-L, God, or L-A spells not or nothing.
Oh, dang.
So you either spell it Al, God, or La, nothing. Hence the fabulous meaning of the word Allah, you know.
Okay.
But they go together. Not only that, But in order to do my funky drawings here, I used transparencies and held them up against the window at my office. I did all of this at work, okay? While the boss was out. And I did use transparencies and then, projected them on the copy machine at work. But the idea is, you see how he is like scales?
Yes.
Okay. And she comes right up through his area. I can't do it as a... They superimpose over each other. Okay. Her leg and his leg are in the same place, only she's balancing him.
That is beautiful. I think everybody heard my head explode. That, like, goosebumps everywhere. That was brilliant.
So the rest of the trumps, trying to find where I stack the trumps, are pretty much the classic images. There's a couple Hindu things. The tower is Shiva the Destroyer.
Oh, perfect. Yes.
But everything else is, tower-esque. And the star card is Shakti.
That is a beautiful star card. Who is Shakti? Please tell me.
Shiva and Shakti, the female, universal female figure. She's a star goddess as much as Nuit and Hadit and
okay. Yeah, I knew Shiva, but I didn't know her. She's beautiful. I have a lot of, I want to use this deck.
And well, good.
My husband's gonna make me buy my own.
And the moon card, okay, is a classic vignette of the Anubises, and that's the archetype of even the Rider-Waite deck or the Smith deck. Classic thing is just a modern take on that Egyptian motif. Let's see if I can find the other Egyptian cards here. The lovers, okay. The lovers are the classic motif of Isis and Nephthys surrounding Osiris.
Yes.
Those are the two ladies that surround the guy in the lovers card. So we got two of those kind of cards. Of course, Aleister Crowley's the magician.
Oh, of course. I think he should be, but that'll be when I make my own deck someday, right?
Yes, and when you make your own deck, put your face on every card that you possibly can.
I want to be the Page of Cups. That's who it's like. I love the Page of Cups. That's my favorite card ever. That's who I aspire to be. Now, a couple more questions that I have for you, if you don't mind. When you made your own deck, did you find that you worked better with it than any other tarot deck? Because it came from you and it was your interpretations of how you see, because tarot can be so subjective as to, the perception of the person reading it.
Right. At first, I wasn't in a big hurry to use it as my divination deck. Almost because of the same phenomena that happens when you first hear your own voice on a recording. Okay, I've been recording for many, many years. I worked at a radio station when I was 14.
Wow.
And when when I first heard my voice recorded, I went, "That's not me. I sound like a cowboy mouse. That's not, I don't sound, if I sound like that, don't listen to me. Don't let me talk." Uh, and then, of course, when you see yourself in a motion picture of some kind or a tape of your videotape or something, you go, "Wait, I'm not that fat. Oh, God. Oh, take the camera. Oh, geez. Okay.
I'm there with you.
Yeah. Well, I was sort of the same way about at first using my cards for my own divinatory purposes, because in the same way that you're hesitant to read cards for yourself. Now, I can read first 20 minutes I had the Thoth deck, I was starting to read cards for other people and just let the flow of consciousness stream out of my mouth, and I was completely unattached. If the lousy cards came up, I just laid it on the line. There it is, you poor bastard. There it is. But it's a whole lot different when the poor bastard is you. And it's really hard. It's almost impossible for me to look at bad news and immediately accept it as being bad news. Oh, the death card crossed by the tower. Oh, I was hoping that was going to happen. So at first, I cautiously started to use the cards to read for others. And then I found out how helpful it was to have cards show up with the dates actually showing up at the cards, so I could say, "Oh, gee, the Two of Wands here, what was going on back in late March? Okay, did you really start to get a handle on this situation back in late March, or did something happen relative to this?" And they go, "God, yes, that's exactly when it happened." So I started to get a feel for how the cards respond by reading for others. And now it's the deck that I use exclusively. That's my first U.S. game system.
Wow.
Look at that. It's a biohazard. Okay, it's just, I wouldn't let anybody shuffle it because they'd sit. Okay.
I got decks that look like that. They just dark around the edges.
Yeah, you shuffle them and there's dust, or the card sawdust comes out of
it. Card filling.
Yeah.
That timing, that's just, because one of the biggest questions people ask me when I'm teaching is timing. How do you do timing? And that's a really tricky one to answer. You kind of have to build the timing into the question. But with this deck, the timing is built into the cards. And I understand the astrology. I love the astrology in the cards. I love the timing of them. That's just wow, built into the deck. But one thing I wanted to ask you was, do you have any advice or direction for people who want to be able to use this deck to its full potential? Like, where would we go to learn what the sigils mean, what the Nokian charts mean? Ceremony. Okay, so the book that
This is my desert island book, because for the Goetic or the Solomonic magic portions of the cards, there is an entire section on Goetia and every spirit, what those spirits do, and everything else. For the trumps with the magical sigils, there's Crowley's whole little pamphlet book that explains or talks about those.
Yeah.
The Enochian material is just, for tarot related anyway, it's all laid out in the book.
Yeah, these
Okay.
appendixes are amazing.
Yeah.
Appendices. And then too, we've got the little the alphabet.
Yes, there
We've got
it is.
the alphabet and everything. I recognize the fool right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So
And so there's other charts that that show stuff, but the series of the appendices, as we properly say, is my portable magical text that I travel with. Okay, you can build your whole magical universe out of the cards themselves. And instead of taking 4 or 5 books along to do your technical Enochian stuff or your Goetic stuff or your Qabalistic stuff, it's all in the appendix of this. This, as you can see, that's also a biohazard now.
that's a well-loved book.
Yeah.
That's a well-read. Now, a lot of us out there in the tarot world, we strictly use the tarot for divination, but I see it as like a Swiss Army knife. I use it for divination. I use it for dowsing if I have to. I'd prefer to find things on my own. I use it for manifestation, which I guess is like a form of magic, but
Well,
this deck takes it to even bigger than the Swiss Army knife. There's so many uses. What other uses could you recommend? The astral projection that you talked about.
right.
Holy crows.
The book talks about how the idea of projecting into the ghost image of those tattva symbols that are on each of the aces and court cards.
Yeah.
And those 16 court cards also contain 16 of the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching. Now, when a court card comes up in a reading and it just doesn't make sense to you, it's not your client's mother or father, if it's a kid, or siblings or co-workers or anything that, or a man on a horse, you can, instead of saying, well, this just doesn't make sense to me, okay, why this card would come up. But there is a I Ching hexagram that this card means, okay? And that I Ching hexagram is the one that is called work on what has been spoiled. So I don't know if you're familiar with the I Ching, but the I Ching doesn't let you lie to yourself. Like I say, the tarot being a mercurial magical device, if you don't watch yourself, you can lie to yourself quite easily. Mercury lies to you by telling you the truth, and it tells you the truth by lying to you.
Oh God. Yep.
But the I Ching will cut to the chase. The I Ching will say, you're an idiot here. Okay. You total. This is gonna blow up in your face. You're gonna really have to face yourself to get over this one, Buster. You know, and it doesn't allow you to. Okay. It'll tell you things like, look, if you expect to lead, you're going to have to learn how to be a follower. It gives you like fortune cookie advice on steroids. And the 16 court cards, fire of fire, water of fire, air of fire, earth of fire. Okay, those are all the wands right there. Okay, fire of water. Okay, knight of cups. You like page of cups? Page of cups is earth of water. So earth of water has a I Ching hexagram. Do I have a little chart around here someplace? I could tell you what your favorite thing is if I could just find. Well, everything isn't always at my, yes. The oracle will now speak. Page of Cups, which is in my deck is called the Princess of Cups. Princess of Cups, decrease. Downturn in the economy, less stuff, less time, less energy. Don't get mad. Become simpler and make it an art form. Okay, so like everything in the I Ching, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, depending on your attitude. But the Princess of Cups or the Page of Cups, if we just can't figure out what else it might mean from a classic tarot divinatory point of view, go to the I Ching and say, this is the advice that card would have given if this was a I Ching thing. And don't worry about if there's a Chinese intelligence behind where you're getting your answer, or a Sumerian intelligence behind where you're getting your answer. Forget that. Okay. Spirit divinatory intelligences could give a flying fig about geopolitical or cultural stuff. Okay, you're tapping into levels of frequency that may as well be as cold as the different levels of resistance in an electrical charge. Okay.
Yeah.
So don't say, oh, I think I would offend my tarot gods or my tarot spirits if I turn it into a I Ching hexagram.
You've got me curious to learn I Ching so that I can see how that would be a really wonderful thing, if I'm reading with a different deck, to be able to interpret the I Ching as like an overall type of advice. That I love to see the two blended together. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Now I got something new to learn. Oh, my head. Now, I promised I would let you go in a certain amount of time. I don't want to keep you all day.
Okay.
But I have a favor to ask you. You have my chicken. I'm going to turn my green screen off so people can see mine. It's actually, my husband pointed out that that's your chicken.
That's my chicken, too.
Because you are the author of the Chicken Kabbalah. But oh yeah, let me get her hands. I got the biggest kick that you have this chicken and that you actually do videos with your oracle chicken. So my chicken's name.
I'm a serious occultist, aren't I?
Yep. See, only us serious occultists have chicken puppets. So
This was a gift from some wonderful, wonderful friends in Sacramento. And I've been getting a lot of mileage out of this. Our chicken picked the Super Bowl winner.
I please may I link that video into our Facebook, into our video, because I got the biggest kick out of that. That was so much fun, and it was accurate too.
Well, don't tell anybody, but Constance was the puppeteer in that one, and the voice of the chicken.
She did a great chicken. Let her know I said that.
I will. I will.
So they had to meet. It's chicken love.
No, kiss your chicken. There you go.
Kissing chickens. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving up some time on Valentine's Day. And for joining me. I assure you that this is like the highlight of my entire year.
The year is young, so let's hope it gets better for you.
Everybody, I hope you enjoyed this. Lon Milo Duquette again, and check out that deck.